What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Lore Reloaded, the only channel where I may get sick, but you won't. The only channel that has proven it is COVID-19 safe. No other channels have made that promise but me. And it's true. It's true. It's scientifically true. 500 doctors have proven that this is the case. Hope everybody's doing well today. Hope y'all are enjoying it. Thought I would try to do some form of live stream, just to keep you entertained. I've had a lot of requests to do live streams, to have interactions, to help people out. I know it's rough for people out there, whether you are feeling great or not. You're being impacted by this pandemic, as it were. And so I was thought I would have a little bit of fun, have a little bit of conversation. And you guys can watch me get upset at StarTrek.com while having a head cold. What's going on, Philip K? Hope you're doing well today, sir. And then we can go from there. Of course, I'd start doing this, and I bet other people are live as I'm doing this. Watch, wait for it. Oh no! Oh wow! Look at that. Well, good. Well, good. All right. So, got a couple things we're going to do today. Honestly, this is going to be a free skate, though. Whatever you guys want to talk about, we can change it up. I'll change the topic. I know my daughters wanted to have a little bit of a conversation, too, because they are going crazy being stuck here. Yes, Zealot Master 1, you are definitively the only person here. So when you look down right under my image and it says number of people viewing, that, in fact, is a hallucination. In fact, there is nobody else in this world that exists. It's only you. You have completely, Zealot Master 1, populated this world, and this is the world that you put yourself in. And that's science fact. That's all this is. All right, guys, so we're going to get into this and have some fun. And then again, yeah, whatever you guys want to talk about, we can talk about today. Starting off, I'm going to be doing StarTrek.com. Voyager's macrocosm is a COVID-19 cautionary tale. Come on, get up, get down with the sickness. That is true. All right. Hi, Laura. As the common sense says, wash your hands, cover your mouth, stay home if you're sick. We don't do common sense. All right. Let's break this down. Would love your guys' opinions when it comes to this. I have not read this at all, so I'm curious to see what it says. If you guys know StarTrek.com, they have some hot takes. All right. Voyager's macrocosm is a COVID-19 cautionary tale, and right now, it's just what we need. To Heshwing's point, the macrovirus was a patriarchal oppression. Remember that. Remember it. All right, here we go. Hip hop, here we go. This was also done by Lauren Busser. Science fiction is often a vehicle for what might be, and many shows play with the idea of an illness outbreak sometime during their run. Star Trek Voyager is no exception. While they played with the idea of a virus in isolation in Season 2 episode Resolutions, their second foray into the genre is an entirely different animal. Season 3's macrocosm is a cautionary tale that fits perfectly into COVID-19 and social distancing. Remember, macrocosm fits perfect. It is a perfect fit, as my girlfriend might say. It is the fit of perfection. 100%. You watch macrocosm, you see your country in COVID-19. Perfect. Fans may remember it as the episode featuring giant viruses that had Janeway walking around in her tank top being a commando badass. Whoa, that's a bad word. Who could forget the knife versus tentacle fight? I mean, who could forget that? As I said, perfect COVID-19 episode. As you know, COVID-19 is out there with tentacles, and it can only be taken out with knives. Perfect fit. Perfect fit. However, peel back the layers, and the narrative behind these events has regretfully aged well in the time of the coronavirus. This is the 19th coronavirus we've had, by the way. I don't know if it's 19, but we've had quite a few coronaviruses. Isn't SARS a form of coronavirus? Anyway, let's start by looking at the point of infection. All right, are you ready? Here we go. The virus gets on board Voyager because the doctor is eager to try out his new mobile emitter and wants to do what physicians do. Help people who are sick. Janeway and Neelix are on an away mission with Tak, and that leaves Chakotay in charge of Voyager, who allows the Doctor to go down to the planet's surface and aid a group of ill miners. This is so right. Can I just say, the one thing we never need to do is help other people. Especially when you have COVID-19 out there wielding its tentacles and you can only fight it off with a knife. Never send doctors to help people. That is such a cautionary tale. I agree. Helping people is stupid. The Doctor says that since he's a hologram, he won't get sick, and there is minimal risk to the crew. Minimal risk. And then we have a picture of him. A statement that proves to be very, very wrong. When the Doctor is transported back up, the organisms are transported along with him. They move so quickly that it only takes a few seconds for the virus to migrate to the transporter buffer. From there, it infects the bioneural gel packs of the ships. By the way, that is so stupid. The bioneural gel packs are MacGuffins and should never exist. Continue on. From there, it infects the bioneural gel packs of the ship and eventually the crew. If we need to hold up an episode to make the case for social distancing, this is the one. The crew's directive to seek out new life and new civilization, while also trying to get home, is all well and good. But had they not sent the Doctor, the virus wouldn't have gotten onto Voyager. It was the Doctor's hubris in thinking he was immune that ultimately endangered the ship. The Doctor thought that he could save people. He thought that he was immune. He could go down there and assist them. And that is hubris. And I mean, who does this? Where was it? To seek out new life and new civilizations? I mean, have you watched Picard or Discovery? We don't do that. We don't do that. This is Star Trek. We do not go and seek out new life and new civilizations. I mean, honestly, if you think that's what Star Trek is about, you have not watched actual Star Trek, which is only Discovery and Picard. I can't believe this Doctor wanted to go and help people. It is just disgusting that he saw someone in need and went and helped. You know what we should have done? No, I'm not going to say that online. I bet you guys were thinking, though. You know what I'm thinking. I'm just saying, Resident Evil options. So disgusted that they would seek out new civilizations. Horrific, people. Horrific. In TNG's Angel, says Dan23, one Enterprise suffers from effects of a debilitating virus. Some people find it difficult to understand how the crew got that virus. I don't remember that one, Dan23. In TNG's Angel, one Enterprise suffers from the effects of a debilitating... I don't know. I mean, I'm saying it did happen. I'm just saying, is it just talking about the closed system? All right, going back to reading this article. Here we go. Fortunately, Voyager is a closed system, so as long as crew members didn't leave the ship, the virus couldn't spread throughout the galaxy. However, that doesn't stop the virus from making its way amongst the crew. That's when you remember that Tak, who shows up at the worst possible moment. Their answer to stopping the spread is kill them all, because there is no cure for the virus. Suddenly, the Tak's top of the episode send-off, good health, strong body, clear mind, starts to make sense when you realize these guys probably knew this was going around the Delta Quadrant. How much did you want to bet that they didn't come up in the trade negotiations when they talked about the sector? What? How much did you want to bet that didn't come up in the trade negotiations when they talked about the sector? So they're saying that this virus is actually spreading in the Delta Quadrant, is what they're... Hey, Raven. Our child number 2. Bet you can't guess her name. Child number 2. Hey, get down from there. I love you. Hey, I love you. Oh, you are sitting. You want to give me a hug? So they're trying to say that this entire disease came from the Delta Quadrant. So, joking aside, first give me a hug. Say hi, people.
I love you.
I love you. Say hi, people.
Hi.
What do you want to tell them?
We are going in a beach.
You guys are. Don't say where, but you are going to a beach at some point, aren't you?
Yes.
We got it.
We're on Mom and Dad and Mom and Grandpa.
Yeah, Mom, Dad, Grandma, and Grandpa. But you got to wait for all of this stuff to get done, don't we?
Yes, I have the cake.
But after it passes, that's the first thing we're doing, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, first thing you're doing.
Yeah.
All right. I love you.
I love you.
All right, go play. Just don't jump on that thing, baby. That's dangerous. Don't do that. I do, in fact, have SARS. That is true. I asked if COVID-19 and SARS are the coronavirus. So, they're trying to say that this... I don't know that I believe that. First off, there's a couple of things. So, this virus wouldn't impact the majority of species. Species are so drastically different. I mean, I can see them trying to bring it together. I don't know that I buy that. I don't know. Doesn't seem legit, people. Maybe. But, I don't know. All right, let's keep going. Here we go. This episode is not saying burn down your neighbor's house if they're infected with the COVID-19. Seriously, do not do that. That's arson. It's also not asking that you distrust neighbors to the point of fisticuffs and toilet paper heists. Rather, stay inside, limit your movement, and avoid getting infected so that professionals have the time to develop a treatment while not overwhelming our already fragile healthcare system. I love how our healthcare system has become fragile. Hey, Dan, yeah, that's all she's talking about, I believe. Think about what would have happened if the Tac had continued their destruction. Not only would the cure not have been deployed to Voyager, but it also wouldn't have been shared with the Tac and likely other worlds affected in that sector. When the Tac stopped their attack, they let Voyager help them solve a problem. It's an extreme and very compact example, but it still works. And given the difficulty we're having getting some sectors of the public to take social distancing seriously, perhaps an extreme example is needed. All right, so at first, she got onto the doctor for going and helping people. And then, now that we found a cure, we're supposed to help people, but we're also to make sure that people lose all their civil liberties and shouldn't leave. Does the cat like to hang out in your chair all the time, or only if you are in the chair? So usually he's on the chair most when I'm here, because he likes hanging out with me. But he will come to the chair when I'm not, but he actually sits in it. He sleeps in it, where I'm sitting. All right, going back to the article. Of course, in the case of COVID-19, we need to work for more than the length of an hour-long episode in order to flatten the curve of spread. Many schools are closed down, and more people are self-isolating and working from home. We are essentially waiting for something that cannot seem to pass, and since cannot see to pass, gotta love them editors for StarTrek.com, cannot seem to pass, I'll edit it for them, and since the world is bigger than a starship, it's going to take longer to run its course. Like the disease of macrocosm, part of what makes COVID-19 scary is that we can't see it. We don't know anything about it, and the only sign we really have is that it sneers when someone's symptomatic. Microscopic organisms don't always lend themselves well to decisive action either, but moving this virus into the macroscopic world gives Janeway and the crew something physical to fight against. We're still going. We got 2 more paragraphs. It is the cat's chair. That's just definitive truth. Here we go. It also makes detection more readily available as macrocosm progresses. Both Janeway and Neelix are infected by the virus's tentacles. When Janeway is attacked on the bridge, there's no question that she comes in contact with something that could prove deadly. And she goes to sickbay, knowing she's infected. Gives Janeway an edge in seeking treatment. The doctor is able to test his antigen, and together, they save the entire crew. What's going on, Samantha? An extremely beautiful woman, if ever there was one. In the end, this is a fictional universe, and macrocosm isn't a perfect real world example. She said it isn't a perfect real world example. And then yet up here, where did she say it? She said it was the best example. I think she said perfect. Didn't she? My friends, didn't she say it was perfect? Could have swore she said it was perfect. But anyway. But the story is in the end, this is a fictional universe, and macrocosm isn't a perfect real world example. But the story is a solid one when it comes to living in a global pandemic. Ultimately, the thing to take away from macrocosm, this week at least, is that ultimately, what? Girl, I write for a living. Please proofread. Ultimately, the thing to take away from macrocosm this week is that ultimately, no, you need to pull up synonym.com and find a different word for ultimately. You don't use that word twice. Ultimately, the thing to take away from macrocosm this week is that ultimately, Voyager went back to normal. They deployed the antigen, the crew recovered, and they continued on their way home in good health. So long as we take meaningful, directful steps to help prevent the spread of COVID-19, our world can and will do the same. Even if we didn't, ultimately, I think the COVID-19 would go away. It would be a lot worse for us, though. That was Voyager's Macrocosm is a COVID-19 cautionary tale by one Lauren Busser, or Busser in the Greek. What do you guys think? What's your opinion on this? By the way, this is really a free skate for people who are here. I'm just hanging out. We're talking about whatever you guys want to talk about. I just want to make you guys feel better, even though I have a head cold. I'm here for you. I want to do this for you. I honestly, and I didn't want to say this, but I guess this is the time to tell you that I love you all, and I'm glad that we're together and that we can take this time. I took some good meds. Pandemic strike normies. Gamers not affected. That is true. Was that Grace Park tearing her eyes out in Picard, the actress who played the Cylon? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know. Knife versus tentacle. Stop looking into my search history. Well, mine too, buddy. There's an advert on TV that makes Star Trek look like it's one long war to seek out and have battle. That is honest to God, man. So Voyager brought a pathogen back with it. They did. Writers are getting worse. Read a few news articles and you'll see. Her English be bad, yo. Sadly, I spent all my money on food to trade for toilet paper. Well, sadly, I spent all of my toilet paper on food. So, hey, is that where you got it? That's where you got the toilet paper. All right, you guys want to do the next one, or shall we do something else? The next article, the next one that I want to do to entertain you is that why we need more of 7 of 9's story in Picard and everywhere else. Frostwitch, what about the phage? This wasting disease kills entire race. Its contact with Voyager seemed to have no effect. Yeah, the phage I don't think is a good COVID-19 response. Again, COVID-19 right now at least isn't as, man, I don't want to say, and I won't. Most people will survive having COVID-19 if they get it. Things like the phage, they won't. So when it comes to like comparisons in that way, there's nothing there. Now, you may not have been making the comparison, but you're just pointing out, hey, the phage exists and it didn't impact other races. That's true. It's ironic. That's really an ironic breakdown. When you look at the phage, the species are able to take other species' organs and make them work in their own chemistry. And yet the phage does not impact the other species that they're attacking. Man, how horrible would it be? That could be an interesting story where the Vidians attack a race. The race is able to repel the Vidians, but then they get the phage. How horrible would that be? I have a stack of gold bars on my toilet to use these days. My paper is too valuable. That's a good idea. Nathan Wilson, using that noggin. It's like the wife who sells her hair for a watch chain and the husband selling his watch for a comb. So, move is going well, though it's funny because my city, if not state, could be locked down. So that's fantastic. Ironically, the landlord reached out to me because they were worried. They're like, "Are you still going to be able to pay your bills because of all this going on?" Ironically, while I am dirt poor right now, doesn't have a negative impact on me as much, simply because people are staying inside, and what do they do when they're inside? They watch YouTube or watch other things, and so I'm not. I'm still feeling it, but I don't. It's not like I work for the service industry. But I did have to convince her that everything's going to be fine. I'm still going to be able to pay my bills. Move is going all right. I still intend to troll the hell out of people on watch around the first. I may not do it on the first because people won't believe it, but I will do it like the 31st or the 2nd. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Oh, and a pretty cool thing. I'm going to be on Trek Culture for like 30 seconds. Literally. Less than, probably. But yeah, I think if you haven't subscribed to Trek Culture, check them out. I'm doing a video with them. I wish the Vidians actually got what they deserve. The original 2 Vidians should have been kept in the brig. You know, I don't know when it comes to the Vidians. Hold on. When it comes to the Vidians, I'm on 2 points on that. So the Vidians, for those who haven't watched or don't know, the Vidians got this sickness that ravages their body, and every Vidian that is born with it, and so it kills them ultimately. And the only way for the species to survive is for them to expand, to go to other species, and to take their organs and use their organs to live. It's the only way that the species would be destroyed. So the question comes, do the Vidians deserve mercy? And there's two points to it, I think. There's two ways of looking at it. First, if the Vidians are an active threat, then they need to be wiped out. As long as the Vidians are an absolute active threat and could destroy a civilization because they need these organs, then they need to be base delta 0. They need to be completely wiped off the face of the sector. Galaxy. They need to not exist. They need to be an extinct culture. But let's assume for a second that the phage is cured, and a lot of people love to say, "Well, they cured the phage. Look at the they cured the phage. Look at the what was it? That group of intellectuals. I forget who they're called, but look at the group of intellectuals. They cured the phage." And thank you so much. I need to turn that on, don't I? First off, I don't believe that group. That group, they're liars. They're known liars. I forget the name of them, but they lie all the time. So the fact they say they cured the phage means nothing to me. Let's assume they did, though. Should you think tank? Yeah, the think tank. Let's assume they did cure it. Should the race be given some leniency, some mercy? I think that's a harder question. If I was doing it, so let's say that the think tank did cure them. Again, I don't believe they did, but let's say that they did. And now you have a coalition of races that have banded together to just, destroy the Vidians. I think that there should be consequences. I think that there should be I think that the Vidians, especially those who actively went out, whatever military or soldiers went out, especially the heads of it, should be held to account with punishment for that impacts the rest of their natural lives. Yeah, those are claws. Ow. Ow. Why are you doing that? Please stop. Please stop. Thank you. So the leaders of the military and of the government should probably never see the light of day ever again. At a minimum. A civilian populace that may not have had a lot to do with it, or especially the younger population who couldn't do it, should probably be given mercy, I think, if I was doing it. Canada is canceled. Yeah, Canada doesn't. Canada was never a real thing anyway, so we don't have to worry about that. Will the virus also affect the Picard series? Even though we only have 2 episodes left, the Picard series was diseased from the beginning. Hi, buddy. You okay? What's wrong? You're acting weird. You usually don't lay on me like that. It was diseased from the beginning, so I don't think we have to worry. Joking aside, season 2 may be impacted, but they're already done with the first season, so that's not going away at any point. Genocide, but for a good cause. What other group thought that way? Current Chinese government, I'm going to guess. Ow, if you don't want me petting, you don't lay on me. Well, I'm going to hop off, gang. Have a good day. Try not to go stir crazy under the quarantine. Jesus Christ be with you, friends. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? I'd love to get your feedback. What do you think about the Vidians? I also need to get Jessie Ginger on here at some point. Which, speaking of that, let me message her real quick. Yo, next week, when can you be on? Yo. Well, I'm thinking about it, and then I'll just hit that X button. I'm an Imperium. Whoa! What is your deal? Okay. JJMFDL. I think what Jorge said was fine. I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere, guys. All right. What's up, buddy? Okay, so what would you guys do when it comes to the Vidians? What specifically would you guys go? Got to get back to working from home. All right, talk to you later, Tiger. Yeah, China, millions of Chinese citizens. I was more joking than anything else. Am I going to have to go to the next topic? Part of me agrees with what they were doing, but their execution is the problem. Yep, your cat is bossing you. He is. He almost fell off. He almost hit his head on the floor. Do you want to get down? Is that what you're trying to do? You want down? All right, let's go to the next one then. So, let's talk about the next piece, which is Star Trek from StarTrek.com. Why we need more of Seven of Nine's story in Picard and everywhere else. This one is by Lacey Bachauer. Seven of Nine's return to Trek universe is groundbreaking in more ways than one. Initially, the news of Jerry Ryan's return to Star Trek universe felt as though it was the worst sort of stunt casting, an obvious play to capitalize on fan nostalgia and subsequently boost tune-in for the new Star Trek Picard sequel series. Who thought that? Who thought that the Jerry Ryan coming in, or Seven of Nine coming in, who thought, hey, by the way, JJMFDL, I'm going to do a Patreon post and a members post soon. That stuff is coming out. The move and my head cold and Corona have set me back on that. But all that's coming out. At least, I believe, 4 episodes of Ghostbusters is funded. Thank you for the support. Initially, who thought that 7 of 9 was just some kind of stunt? I honest to God, did not. I don't know. Maybe it was, and I just didn't see it, but I didn't think that at all. Anyway, continuing on with the article. After all, Picard and Seven of Nine had never even met in the mainstream Trek continuity, and, on the surface, the two have little in common beyond their shared trauma at the hands of the Borg. What could her presence possibly bring to the story, which ostensibly has little to do with her? Yeah, I mean, the Borg returning with a character based on the Borg That there's just no connection there at all. There's no connection. Anyway, continue on with what she said. Uh, what could her presence possibly bring to the story, which ostensibly has so little to do with her? Everything, as it turns out. Seven's return doesn't just add new and unexpected layers to Picard's personal journey. Throughout that brief scene between them in which they acknowledge their still daily struggles to maintain their humanity decades after their respective assimilations, is the sort of deep, meaningful character work fans dream about. That is one entire sentence. What? Seven's return doesn't just add new and unexpected layers to Picard's personal journey. Though that brief scene between them in which they acknowledge their still daily struggles to maintain their humanity decades after their respective assimilations is the sort of deep, meaningful character work fans dream about. Periods are okay. Periods can be your friend. Seven of Nine's appearance also builds upon and expands her previously existing story in a truly creative and meaningful way. One that leaves us with an entirely new and necessary understanding of the character. It's necessary. This was a necessary part. Necessary. Seven has become more complex, more morally ambiguous, and more emotional in the years since Star Trek Voyager ended. More complex than a person who was basically, all she ever remembered was Borg. All she ever remembered was Borg is now more complex than, okay. And as a result, she feels more fully herself and more fully human than she ever has before. That's the problem. The problem is what her character was about being part Borg, part human. It's not about her. True, none of us likely thought that Picard would turn out to be the Seven of Nine story that this franchise has always needed. Franchise doesn't need it, but it is. And her arc thus far has been genuinely surprising and something that few of us would have ever expected to see. I think them turning her into a possible Borg queen to save people is something I didn't see coming. I don't hate that idea. If that's where they go with it, I would agree with her that that's not something that we would have saw coming. And if you remove a lot of the other ridiculousness of both this article and Seven of Nine, that's not a horrible story to tell in Picard, in my opinion. This Seven of Nine is a woman who has traded in her famous catsuit for comfortable pants and a cargo jacket. A warrior who has risen above personal tragedy to carve out a life of purpose. She is legitimately and righteously angry. Righteously angry. Just like all the times religion has made people righteously angry to kill others. Just righteous. She is legitimately and righteously angry about the state of the universe, about the abandonment of those most in need of the ideals of the Federation used to espouse, about the horrors that too many people are willing to callously visit upon one another. That is some great rewriting of the actual episodes. I mean, I did not know that we could just rewrite the story if we don't like it. No, dearest friend. No, my dearest friend, Lacey Bahauer. No. She is not legitimately and righteously angry about the state of the universe. She is not upset about the abandonment of those most in need of the ideals the Federation used to espouse. She is not upset about the horrors that too many people are willing to callously visit upon one another. She's a murderer. I know you guys don't like me saying that, but definitionally, that is what she is. She gave up on the universe. She doesn't think that the Federation ideals exist anymore. She says as much in her technically her second show on Star Trek Picard. She specifically says that Picard still has hope. She doesn't. That's why she goes around murdering people instead of taking them to justice. But let's pause right here for a second. And let's take a look at a decent straw man, I think, by Leo Pleurodon. Everybody forgetting that 20 years have passed. So Seven had 4 years of character development on Voyager, then paused 20 years, and then she starts a new development. Can I just say that you destroyed that straw man? Can I get an F in the chat for the destruction of that straw man? No one is saying that the character paused for 20 years. Not one single person. However, if you're going to change the core... However, most people, generally in fiction, definitely in real life, don't change their core character for their lifetime. It might shift a little bit one way or the other, but to be turned on a paradigm is a lot harder than people think. And if you're going to do that, then you definitively need to show it. You don't need 3 minutes of gore and a paragraph. You need to dedicate at least 15 to 30 minutes, maybe an entire episode. You cannot just sit there and try to say, well, it's been 20 years, she can change. Because by that logic, you know what could happen? You know what could happen? Next episode, and Leo, I don't want you upset about this. Leo, I want you defending this. Next episode, if at the bottom they say 20 years has passed, 20 years later, and you have Picard, who is a neo-Nazi, that thinks all children under the age of 3 should be killed, and that women are inferior. Leo, mark my words, Leo Pleurodon should definitively sit there and say, this is right. This is exactly right. 20 years have passed. We don't know what happened to Picard. Picard turned into a neo-Nazi child-hating person. And that's okay, because 20 years have passed, and it's okay that we do that. It's all right. You know what? I like it. Leo Pleurodon should say, I like this. I want this to happen. Picard should have been a neo-Nazi. So Leo Pleurodon, I look forward to you agreeing to that and thinking that that's okay. Just go ahead and put, yeah, I agree with that. Picard, neo-Nazi for life. And I think we'll be all right there. By the way, I'm not mad at you specifically, Leo. I'm just pointing out possible errors. Going back to reading the article. She is legitimately and righteously angry about the state of the universe, about the abandonment of those most in need of the ideals the Federation used to espouse, about the horrors that too many people are willing to callously visit upon one another. After all, who knows better what that feels like than she does? We have no evidence that she does that. We have 3 minutes of a scene and then like a paragraph of dialogue. She's a woman whose body contains the physical evidence of her former violation, full of the sort of cybernetic implants that were likely outlawed under the Federation's synthetic ban. No, you don't know what the synthetic ban is. Have you seen Picard? We don't know for sure whether or not this policy change is what forced Seven to the fringes of the galaxy. We do know! Okay. We know they just don't expand on it and don't give us enough. We know why she changed. Because Icheb, her son, apparently at this point, was brutally murdered, and the Federation just gave up on him. It wasn't done well. We need expansion on it. They just told us. They didn't show us. But we do know. She ended up on Earth at the conclusion of Voyager, but it's the sort of twist that would make her involvement with the Fenris Rangers even more compelling. Her decision to join a vigilante group and dedicate her life to dispensing justice to those who might otherwise never see it, while helping those that the Federation has largely abandoned, feels like such a natural step for her character. I would agree that is a natural step for her character, that you could get there. I actually agree with that. Seven may describe her life with the Rangers as one that is hopeless, pointless, and exhausting, but it's work she clearly finds value in as a character whose arc seems so firmly on growth and atonement. No! She does it because she's trying to make small changes, but she does think it's all useless. She thinks it's a waste, that everything has gone to hell. And that's it. That's all there is. No, that's not. It is shockingly clear. Anyway, reading back. It's shockingly personal and perfect for her. What better way to stay grounded in her hard fought for humanity than by constantly striking back against the worst of it? See, she throws things that I agree with, because I could agree with that, but then she just tries to reach more into it. Oh, good. Look, we're gonna get into gender politics in the near future. This will be fun. It's also why she's exactly what the Star Trek universe needs more of. It is futile Trek culture. In the world of Picard, Seven of Nine has evolved into a very different sort of character than she once was. She's not here to be anyone's moral compass or feel-good story. She's interested in righting wrongs and protecting the vulnerable. Yes, that means that Seven has broken a lot of rules that men like Picard would have once considered sacrosanct. Why do we have to bring gender politics into this? Let's read into this. Let's read into what Laura just said. All right, are you guys ready? She's not here to be anyone's moral compass or feel-good story. She's interested in righting wrongs and protecting the vulnerable. Yes, that means that Seven has broken a lot of rules that men like Picard would have once considered sacrosanct. Do women not consider things sacrosanct? Are women okay with being murderers? Are women okay with killing people in cold blood? Laura thinks so. Laura thinks that it's okay to be a vigilante and go around dispensing justice. Because if there's one thing, according to Laura, that women don't do, they don't like the rule of law. They don't like bringing people to justice the right way. They don't like positive outcomes and a federation or a bright future. According to Laura. Now, I personally think that women, like men, can have things that are sacrosanct. So it is unfortunate that Laura thinks so poorly of women. And I hate that for her. I hope she will stop being sexist someday. Wonderful time for Trek culture to show up. Yes, it means she doesn't have a very high opinion of the Federation any longer. But she understands, as he does not, that the world has become a harder and more dangerous place than it once was, and accepts that she must be harder and more dangerous to meet it. I would actually agree with that. Seven of Nine understands, as Picard doesn't, that the world has become a harder and more dangerous place than it once was, and she accepts that she has to adapt for it to work. I actually agree with that. And that's opinion, and that's a position that Trek's female characters rarely, if ever, find themselves in. You know, I don't know why she has such a negative or low opinion of females. Kira Nerys from Deep Space Nine accepted that the world was a lot harder and dangerous. Dax was the same way. Janeway, I think you could say, accepted that. Yoshi accepted that. And that's just looking at the current. If we look in the original series, women, especially in the movies, have accepted that things are more dangerous and harder. They're not. What's up, Nathan? Why do you sit there and think so lowly of females when that is just not the truth? Sexism just angers me in so many ways. This universe has... Didn't Janeway chase down a fellow Federation captain and his crew to bring them to justice? She did. And in fact, she she was going to murder every one of them. Now, I disagree with that, but she was trying to be pragmatic. Anyway. This universe has many iconic female characters, from the original series Uhura to Next Generation's Deanna Troi, Voyager's Captain Janeway, and Discovery's Michael Burnham. Why do we miss Deep Space Nine? I would miss Deep Space Nine too. If I was strawmanning the living hell out of Star Trek and trying to show it as something it's not, I would miss Deep Space Nine too, because that is the perfect counterexample. But outside of Discovery's Mirror Universe version of Philippia George... Man... It's getting to me, guys. But outside of Discovery's Mirror Universe version of Philippa Georgiou, a psychopathic empress who gleefully murders anyone who disagrees with her, none of these women are even close to what you call dark, dangerous, or even particularly unlikable. You dumb... Let's go down it. First off, you're cherry picking. Like, to hell and back. Cherry picking. Uhura, Deanna Troi are two of probably, I would agree, the most milquetoast characters on God's green earth. So I'm not immediately aware. I know Deanna Troi actually does get pretty dark, especially in Voyager when she comes back. She's very protective of her friends, and she'll definitely destroy you. But Captain Janeway and Michael Burnham are not dark, dangerous, or particularly unlikable. First off, 7 of 9 isn't unlikable. She is somebody you can... Even this version of 7 of 9 you can be empathetic with. Just because I don't necessarily like the backstory they did with her, I don't think they showed it correctly. They told and not showed. I actually can empathize with how 7 of 9 reacts. So, I mean, she is a likable character. Even villains can be likable characters. I'm sorry you don't know how story writing works or how storytelling works. I'm sorry that just... This is why they need to hire professionals and not contract people out. Janeway is one of the darkest characters in the Trek universe. And that's even comparing her to Michael Burnham. Janeway has wanted to straight up destroy another captain. Just destroy him. Just blow him out of existence. She didn't care that his crew was trying to survive or just following his orders. In her words, their mistake. She has been okay with destroying entire species. There are a ton of examples I could give you, but one of the most was during the when the Omega particle. Remember, the race was dying off, and she's like, "Well, that's too bad. We're going to destroy this and let you guys starve." She has done... She is and has murdered people as well. And don't even get me started on Michael. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Oh, man. What's funny is she's about to agree with me. 7 of 9 is now a cold-blooded murderer. We agree on one thing. A vigilante with little respect for the law who believes that the ends justify the means, even when those ends involve lying to others. Being a murderer is a lot different than lying, but whatever. She has apparently become very flexible about concepts like mercy and forgiveness and is fine with violence as a method of solving problems. Janeway has gotten to that point. Janeway is exactly that way. Michael's the same way. Yet she's also a person willing to face down her greatest fear to save the lives of strangers she's never met, and who acknowledges the depth of her shortcomings, even as she fights every day to be better than she was the day before. Perhaps she's not a role model, but she's definitely a hero, and in a way that women are often not allowed to be. Are you kidding? Guys, if there's anything that we know in 2019 and 2020, if there's anything we know, women are not allowed to be heroes at all, at any stretch of the imagination. Definitely in movies, media, and on the screen. Definitely not allowed to be at any point. At all. If it's one of the greatest horrific things. This is why stupid organizations that are seriously toxic thrive, just so we're all aware. Yes, historically, as early, in my opinion, as even the 80s and 90s, women have been relegated to second base or second tier. It got a lot better in the 90s, but 80s before, yeah, you can make an argument. Yes, there are outliers, but I think if you looked at it and you're being honest, but current year, stuff like this gets what's up, Leo? Stuff like this gets Trump put in office. Whether you like Trump or not, saying stupid stuff gets. The liberal left will say stupid stuff like this, not this specific, but will say stupid stuff, easily arguable, defeatable points that that don't exist as much. And it's just, I hate stupid argumentation. I hate stupid people. I just do. I don't like them. I don't like anything. No, but she murdered Tuvix. She did murder Tuvix. I agree. By the way, I loaded agree with you, just didn't listen properly. Did something besides, so I missed the point. Oh, no problem, Leo. Leo, you've been with me for a while, buddy. You know it's never against you specifically. While I'll use you as an avatar, or whoever says it, I'll use the name of whoever says it. It's never personal. It's the idea. Like with Laura here, I don't actually have an issue with Laura, or I'm sorry, Lacey. I don't have an issue with Lacey. I just really disagree with this point. And it's the idea I'm attacking. Lacey is the avatar of which I'm attacking, but and I don't want to get too much into it. I know you guys don't care about my personal feelings or opinions, but again, you said Stuart Thomas says they write articles like we're in the 50s. I would say that if this article came out again, even in the 80s, there's somewhat of an argument there. I think it was getting better in the 80s. I think it was getting a lot better in the 90s. I think current year we're over correcting. But if it came out, it is a 80s or before mentality. And it's because I guess my issue with it really is when you have bad argumentation, you push people. Morning Lore liked, commented, but unsubscribed. Well, that makes me mad. When you have bad argumentation, you push people towards the opposite of what you're arguing, which may actually be the bad choice. I'm not against having women protagonists, or even women be the focus if it's a good story. And there's an argument for why we need that. But you can't pretend that things now are like they were. You have to change your argumentation. One of the things that's been most surprising about Picard is that it's a Trek series that pushes boundaries. Oh, fuck. Come here.
Yeah.
Come here.
Yeah.
Come here. Say that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Don't ever say that again. Don't say that to people, okay? Because that's mean.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's a bad thing to say.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you.
All right. All right. All right. Star Trek series push the boundaries all the time. The original series was pushing the boundaries. It was about bringing people of different ethnicities together. They try to rewrite history and say it was about also women's rights. It wasn't. But they at least did have a female on board and at least brought them all together. They were still pretty sexist to women, even in the show. But I guess maybe they moved women's rights a little bit, but it was pretty bad. The Next Generation took it to the next level. They actually did try to bring some decency and some more female parody. They pushed Deep Space Nine was about making Trek darker. It was pushing the boundary of what we considered, black and white Trek. Voyager was about exploration and even taking the characters to darker places that DS9 wouldn't go. Enterprise was crap. Discovery was about making it focused on one character, taking it away from an ensemble, making it one character, making it pretty female-centric, and going up to like 15 on the drama and the negative... I'm not going to say negativity. On the drama and the dark level. Picard is about the destruction of the Federation for all intents and purposes. They always push the boundaries. It's what Star Trek does. Star Trek is about creating something new and pushing a boundary, whether I agree with it or not. TNG, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager not always, would generally push back on me what I thought. Would challenge me. That's what they're about. Jorge, I have a head cold, but everybody else is doing better. This is just it's not. Many of us assume that this show would be a warm and fuzzy bit of fan service, content to remind viewers of all the things we loved about the original, The Next Generation. Then you didn't look into it at all. You did no research on what Picard was. By many of us, you must have met people who do not, at any point, read or watch things related to Star Trek. That's what you mean by many of us. Normies that somehow luckily got to get an article on StarTrek.com because it has gender politics, who don't really care about Star Trek and don't know what they're talking about. That must mean what you mean when you say many of us. Instead, this is a series that is much darker and grittier than those that have come before. No, watch Discovery. This is milquetoast compared to Discovery. Picard appears willing to finally interrogate the morally gray themes that have always lurked just beneath the surface of both Next Generation and Voyager. Funny how you ignore Deep Space Nine, which did that exact thing. I'm about to go mad. I'm about to get mad. This show isn't the first to reference the idea of harvesting more parts for profit, is all I'm saying. Check out Voyager's, I guess we didn't get to see. That is also apparently a series that's willing to push our idea of what female characters can be and do in this universe. Please hire editors, StarTrek.com. I have corrected multiple mistakes in this and only pointed out a few. Let me try to read this and make it intelligible to my audience. Talking about Voyager, she says that it is also apparently a series that's willing to push our idea of what female characters can be and do in this universe is an unexpected but very welcome and long overdue bonus. In Deep Space Nine, there was a female protagonist that was a terrorist. In the original series, the Undiscovered World, I think. I'm sorry, guys. The main protagonist is antagonist is a female Vulcan. You are not. This is either a huge troll or someone who doesn't watch Star Trek. That's what this has to be. That's what this has to be. That's what this... Samantha, I'm about to hurt somebody. Maybe there's hope for a 7-lead Fenris Ranger spin-off one day. After all, once her time on Picard is done. Maybe there's a hope for a 7-lead Fenris Ranger spin-off one day. After all, once her time on Picard is done. Okay, I think I got how she's trying to do. Maybe there's hope for a 7-lead Fenris Ranger spin-off one day. You don't put... There's not supposed to be commas there. Why are there commas like all over after all? Maybe there's hope for a 7-lead Fenris... Maybe there's hope for a 7-lead Fenris spin... Maybe there's hope for a 7-lead Fenris Ranger spin-off one day. Maybe there's hope for a 7-lead Fenris Ranger spin-off one day after all. Remove that. There it is. That's how she wanted it to be written. Oh my God. Once her time on Picard is done. Because it certainly doesn't seem as though her story is anywhere close to over just yet. Oh my God. Learn to write. Zimiko, you mean Jadzia Dax basically being a pansexual transgender character on 90s TV was pushing boundaries? It was. It was. And the homosexuality. There was quite a bit of homosexuality. And they had a female. They had a male having a baby. It was in dialogue. You never saw it, but... Lacey Bauer is a digital strategist by day, but a fangirl all the time. A lover of things sci-fi and fantasy, her work has appeared on Paste Magazine, Den of Geek, Collider, Sci-Fi, and more. Okay, well... I find your argumentation, my good friend, to be subpar. Subpar. 4,000 people like this film. Mutuals that like this person include, but are not limited to, Marshall Julius, who's a cool guy, Star Trek Pike, Trek Central, Watchers on the Wall, Geeks Worldwide, Wizard World. Ferengi never colonized, conquered, or vassalized their neighbors. Evil capitalists. I don't know. Fenris Rangers could be interesting. I don't hate it. I don't know. How would I... Oh, I thought you're not talking to me. It's not beautiful. Come here. What's up?
I just want to say hi.
Okay.
Hi.
Did you hear me getting upset? People shouldn't get upset, should they?
Yeah.
Yeah, after all. It's just right. Yeah. You ready to move?
Bam it, yeah.
What? You ready to move?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bam it now.
I don't know what you're saying, baby. I'm sorry.
What?
Ready to go to the new place?
Yeah.
It's going to be fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. I love you. Why do I choose subpar articles? I didn't know what this article was. Right. I think I gotta get us some food, don't I? Or did you guys already eat? You guys had Lunchables, didn't you? Why are you being silly? Give me a hug and go. Go play, baby. Love you.
I love you.
All right. Go Fenris Raiders, you mighty morphin Fenris Rangers. All right, so let me ask you this, guys, because you're on. I do want to kind of do some more. I'm going to try to get some uploads up, but I'm not feeling well. I got a head cold. And I'm moving. So if I was to do live streams, though, I don't necessarily like always have Star Trek stuff to talk about. I was gonna do some fan fiction breakdowns, like watching fan fiction films. I was also thinking about doing some games, but I don't know that you guys would like that. If you want to do that, we can. But I may just do it at twitch.tv/lore reloaded. So definitely follow me over there. Because one of the things I do want you guys to... One of the things I want to do, because people have asked me to do live streams just because they're stuck inside and they want to forget. I do want to do a little bit more just to, just to help us get all through this. So definitely follow me there. Yeah, I don't mind discussing the Dominion War. I just don't want to overdo it. Because, I mean, the one thing I do is, like, I'm known for the Dominion War. I don't think there's much to parse out. I don't know. I'll take a look into that, and maybe we'll try to do a little bit more with it. Maybe do a live stream. Maybe do a live stream version of the Dominion War series. Or maybe something else. It doesn't have to be the Dominion War. What else? If there's something else in Star Trek that we could do, that would be fun. And just do a live stream version of it. So sit down, watch it, break it down. I don't know how much we can watch, but to break it down, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. All right, so I'm gonna get off with you guys and try to feel a little bit better. Hopefully the head cold or COVID-19 or whatever I have will go away shortly. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you on the next Lore Reloaded.